So, second set of this casting session will unfortunately be the last one of this session as well. But we have Arabia here again, 1300 to 1500 bracket. We have Asur as the Khmer and Henri as the Franks. So both very mobile cavalry civilizations, Khmer with not needing any buildings to transition through the ages or to unlock stables, those kind of things. Don't need to build a barracks to build a stable, but up against Franks, you'd want your barracks anyway for spearman potential. GLHF is wished here between the players. And let's see how it plays out. This is not the worst map ever for Khmer to pull wall and turtle it out for a quick cast late here, but I'm hoping for some extensive feud late fighting here, since it's called open season after all. We'll see. Henri with the Franks has main goal a bit to the side here. Seems to have a lot more open base than the Khmer, but with a wall in the back here, at least you render your side gold a bit tough to access for the enemy to deny. Could wall like the whole right hand side here, and then you'd have a decent obtainable back gold there. Frank's go-to is definitely the scouts. Could of course with an easily wallable maps justify going to rush fast castle as well to really get to that knight cavalry power spike, but against Khmer, I guess you want to try and get into the enemy base nice and early and deal some damage so they can't exploit their easy transition through the ages. Mm-hmm. 3 on wood for Asur here. Definitely suggesting the scouts thus far for the Khmer. I was mixing up the colors here as well. I was saying Khmer was on this side, but this is of course Henri with the Franks. And in that case, has a great base to secure off from any early aggression and yeah, and make use of that instant extra HP that the Franks cavalry units gets from the feudal numbers. After seeing all players, any favorites for the different brackets? Yeah, there are some players that have been more convincing overall than others. We have Notekam in the 1300 max bracket has been taking a lot of 2-0 sets by the looks of it, but it's also not. It's not like nobody's taking the game off him. I think he had a 2-1 set some other time. Oh, bit unfortunate lure there. And for this 1300 max bracket, we had, well, Asur has had a good run as well. Has also been conceding at least 1 or 2 matches, not sets, but yeah, seems like a very solid player. And then in the 1500 to 1800, there's just been very wide gap between the top and the low and the high players. So I know some of the players. I know AR12 is very solid, so I expect him to do well. But certainly other good players as well. But there have been a lot more 2-1 sets in the later rounds of the 1500, 1800 bracket, which is kind of nice to see. I don't think we can name a favorite just yet. Some early walls from Henri here, but doesn't seem to affect the wood situation to be able to afford these stables. Let's have a look at the scouting of Asur here. Probably has been pushing deer because hasn't really scouted Henri's location even yet. 1 deer left to be taken. Greedy Khmer play here. Not dropping a barracks just yet either. Henri is here with the scout to find the enemy TC to die to it potentially. Nah, he dodges that just fine. Second lumber camp for Henri. But that's going up late here now. He's not going to have wood for the stables here, if that is the plan at all with the Franks here. There's only 30 of wood. A little bit off the second lumber camp timing there, and the opening scouts will be quite so delayed here. Unless Henri is playing full on spear defense here, of course, against Khmer. We have the barracks and stable here for the Khmer player. Not quite sure what Henri's plan here is, but his wall up his right-hand side is kind of secured in front, but there comes the stable, so it is indeed a stable investment here, just a little bit unfortunate timing with wood disposition here for the opening section of the game. Henri might be able to get the walls up in time here. He didn't. He's investing into the first spearman now to help these villagers. That's an opening, isn't it? No, it's not. Ooh. Nice quick walls, Henri, to lure the scouts in towards the TC fire here. And unfortunately, though, the spearman pops out at the wrong side, so he's going to take the long way around to contest these scouts. That's one going down for Henri there, unfortunately. Now deletes the lumber camp to save the last few villagers here. And some bit of an awkward start here for Henri, unfortunately, against the Khmer. Asur with 3 scouts, 2 spears. Both with somewhat similar disposition in resources here, but Asur with a villager lead now, with Henri with more idle time behind this. Also a forward spearman here together with the scouts to deny the rest of these walls. Four scouts now for Henri, and some nice quick calls again to keep these scouts from engaging the woodlands here. And these are Frank scouts, so they should be able to contest the Khmer ones even with a little bit of hit points deficiency here. 5 scouts to Asur's only 3 scouts and 2 spears. So the resource investment behind this is working into Asur's favor here, getting good value from the forward scouts. Did find a way in even through this very tight, easily wallable base of Henri here. This is a unfortunate start for Henri on Arabia here, with Asur getting such great value from the scouts. Not over-investing, as said, 3 scouts, 2 spears probably now at home. Henri is on the counter-attack. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the mini-map here. 5 scouts should have some potential here, but haven't sniped any villagers just yet. And they're pounding away at an empty house for the time being, while Henri, of course, has to deal with the enemy scouts at home. Has rebuilt the lumber camp here. That's 100 wood down the drain as well. Perks of being Khmer, though, you could hop into houses to save villagers' lives from raiding, so that's another advantage that Asur has here. Doesn't need to stress the pull walls here in order to keep villagers safe from raids. One spearman there gets focused down at almost at the cost of the life of one scout, but Henri keeps them up and still needs to deal with the annoyance of Asur's scouts over here, though, and they're just maximum annoyance running around there, dodging the spears, forcing reaction all the time here. As houses go up near the golds here for Asur as well to keep saving villagers from raids, and they just pop into the houses there again. It's going to show the idle eco timer, obviously, but Idle villagers better than dead villagers. So Asur finally commits the mainly villagers here to fight off the Frank scouts, and that's the end of those. Asur also with the career here 10 on gold now will be doubling up on the cavalry production in the cast stage most likely. And yeah, it's just quite close to clicking up here. Henri is not too far off either, but there's a 10 villagers difference between the players now, with 2 of Asur scouts still alive here, as Henri doesn't opt for the garrison here. Just, yeah, chases the last scout with a spear here. Finally cleans up the scouts at home. Is full walled, but also significantly behind Asur here, taking his time to queue real barrow before the cast stage here. So actually Henry is going to get this head start to the cast stage, albeit with a weaker economy than the opponent going into the next stage here. Second stable for Henry here, only 5 on gold though, which will not sustain 2 stables in the long run. No upgrades whatsoever for the knights yet, so these early scouts raids from Asur has certainly have certainly done their damage here. Meanwhile, Asur is walling up the whole section at home here, keeping 2 golds inside of the walls as well, taking the back gold first and leaving the main gold for later, which could be protected by a town center later on here. And it's no less than 3 stables from the Khmer here. Pretty darn offensive cast stage approach here, getting Bloodlines at the first defense now as well. Bloodlines, that's going to match the Franks Knights in terms of hit points. Good job of Henri forward here with that one spearman though, to at least delay the third stables from going up. It's not going to affect the Knights production, as there's still 20 seconds to go for cast stage to kick in for Asur, getting the attack as well. Now actually outmatching Henri's numbers in matching Henri's knights in terms of upgrades here, or outmatching rather, with forging kicking in. Nice, Henri finds a point of entry in the walls here. Will, however, run into larger numbers of Khmer Knights here, so that's a very short time spent inside the enemy base for Henri there. Pulls back and will wait for more numbers here. Only +1 though. The upgrades are better for Asur here, which in equal numbers means that the Khmer player should win the fights here. Yeah, good engagements for Henri now. It's with more knights total. He is outmatched in upgrades, unfortunately, since Asur has a much stronger economy behind this with a 7 villager lead for the time being. And as Asur's reinforcements join in, that means that Henri's numbers will dwindle, unfortunately. And now 20 on food, 9 on gold though for Henri. 3 TCs working. He might be able to catch up here and get back into it to contest the Khmer here. 3 town centers consistently producing now, as are some of the stables. One stable producing here, unless that's a bug. That's a horrible engagement for Henri. Unfortunately, he has one less defense here, so he's being outmatched in the upgrades, as Asur now will break in with the Khmer Knights Masses, unless Henri can wall it just in time here. So close. So I get the 3TC approach from Henri here. He's behind the villagers, but he's earlier to the castle edge. He wants to extend the economy to benefit from the strong Franks Knights with a 3TC boom to support it. But now that Asur found a way in, it's looking grim for Henri here. Doesn't have nearly enough military to hold off the mass amounts of knights here. So much idle eco for Henri now, much idle TC time behind this as well. All the villagers of gold go down here. 3 on food, 8 on gold for now for Henri, and how many? 2 knights, 2 stables producing knights, but it's going to be tough to match the Khmer numbers here with 3 stables for the Khmer and +2 defense is in. 13 knights to 8 for the time being, but all of these, most of these are forward for Asur, so Asur keeps that villagers know that numbers lead in terms of RB here, and actually has a villagers lead behind this as well with the 3 TCs for the Khmer player as well. It's looking tough for the Franks here. There's Henri with the numbers advantage by his own stables, but overall Knight's numbers still in favor of Asur here. And remember the upgrades as well. Asur has +2 defense, whereas Henri only has +1. So even in even numbers, Franks will be struggling here. Very patient play from Henri here now, though. The scores are 900 points apart, but Henri waits to take the best engagements possible here with his own knights, trying to not allow Asur to get the same numbers in the fighting. Quick house over here, and you could obstruct Asur's knights from running in, actually. The gate almost does it, but here come Asur's knights to join in, and look at the hit points here, 3,120 for the blue player, 2,000 something for Henri here. Outmatched by 1,000 HP, not to mention the upgrades as well. There comes the +2, so it helps Henri out a bit here. If he had a gold for it, he could go for some monks here for enemy conversions and to heal up the knights as well. The monastery is going up. But I'm sure Asur is content with the damage caused here. Lots of idle TC time, idle eco time, and more overall good KTs have 17 to 5 here, as the Khmer player is at 78 villagers to 52. "22 knights now just pounding away at the TC here. Henri has the +2 now, but it doesn't really have enough knights to engage against this. Tries to fight enemy, as many of the blue knights are weakened here. There might be a knight now, monk popping out from the monastery to get some conversions in as well, but this is a sub-par fight for the Franks player here, even with equal upgrades. As Asur is getting handcart and maybe thinking about preparing an Imperial Age transition soon. Look at the beautiful Khmer farms over here. They're all spread out with houses in between, so you could garrison as needed. 4 TCs for Asur behind this as well, so fortifying a solid villager's lead here. Henri saves the TC for now, but is certainly behind the economy and army here, and a position you never want to find yourself in with any civilization. So 12 knights to 22 here, Iron Forging for Asur. That's going to give another +1 attack as Henri is repairing the TC at lightning speed here to maybe think about surviving a siege push to this TC for a bit longer. But the engagement here is again in favor of Asur here. Much larger numbers, 22 to 12 now for Henri. I think the monk got focused down as well. And Henri is soon going to be left with 0 military here as Asur has 4 theses consistently producing and could go to Imperial Age whenever the gold count allows for it. GG is called by Henri. That's a 1-0 for Asur. $57 to $37 is the KD, so entirely better engagements taken by Asur here. Solid Khmer economy. You usually have solid economy. If the Khmer boom is untouched, it could be rather crazy, especially in the food department, never needing to go to mills and TCs to drop food. $103 to 71 villagers, and then finally a dip in military here for both players, pending the cast stage transition, but then the numbers here for Henri last fight, they're losing a lot, unfortunately. Let's see what game 2 will bring. We're going to Henri's home map. So Henri is going for a classic here, is going for Serengeti for his home map. Right, so Serengeti it is. We are here with Hans for Henri in the orange here, and Asur with the Lithuanians. So for the hunts, cavalry archers comes into mind for Serengeti. There are some small hills to be taken every here and there. Woodland for the enemy, for example, could be very exposed to cavalry archer raids. Gold in the back, close and stone close to a hill as well. So scouts into cavalry archers would absolutely make sense with hunts on this map. Asur, however, with the Lithuanians, has the potential for a nice and early rush or even men-at-arms if he wants to, starting with plus 150 food. But from the cast stage onwards, we'll definitely be playing the cavalry because Lithuanians get plus 1 attack per relic gathered. Relic disposition, though, it's really in favor of Henri here with 3 relics quite close to Henri's starting TC and then 2 to the side here as well, where only 1 is closer to Asur. But I wouldn't be too surprised to see a Scouts war in this matchup. They both have things going for them for early up times with Scouts. Both players with 3 on wood for now. We'll see how they dispose their resources moving on here. Asur sends another actually, so... But that could also be because of the extra food, starting food for Lithuanians, and the abundance of food in Serengeti in general. You don't necessarily need to task as many on food. As for the hunts, you save quite a bit of wood along the game, never needing to build houses, so with only 3 on wood you should still be in a good spot to afford the barracks and stables as needed for your upcoming scouts play. Pushing in some deer for added food income here. There's only 1 elephant on Serengeti, not your go-to 2, but you have 5 zebras, giving you a total of 800 food, I believe. 700 food, sorry. And then 3 ostriches as well for another 420 food to benefit from. So all in all, it's actually more food than on your go-to area map, and since hunt collects faster, you could have an even smoother scouts opening with the typical scout civilizations for map like these. Asur is forward now. There's obviously no elephant or anything to steal here. Just outside of the enemy base, so doesn't want to run into a TC fire here. We'll see the 4 on wood, which hunts would usually do anyway. Scouts are not to compensate for the minus 100 wood to begin. Here comes the barracks for Henri. Loom is on the way, and once Loom is complete, the food income should allow going to the field lecture. Bit of hesitancy to click here. Henry actually had the food to click up, but he hasn't made he hasn't made a mill yet. That's why he couldn't click up. We need the barracks to complete before going up. But what's the reasoning behind that? I mean, obviously you don't need the mill yet because you're pushing in deer and ostriches to boost that food income. But I don't understand this. Must be a way to save wood to afford maybe stable blacksmith or something like that to go into an early defense. Or simply just forgetting about it, not having milled berries here, just pushing the hunt. That did cost Henri some idle TC time though, and Asur here with the Lithuanians is going up at 2 population less actually. And just reached the feudal age to start pumping out those scouts. 19 to 21 population here. Henri, in return, of course, will be going into the feudal age with a stronger economy to back everything. Opting for the full walls here with hunts, that's not necessarily something you see all that regularly from the hunts. The fact that they don't need houses makes it so much easier to be the aggressor and keep pumping out units and builders consistently. But a nice intelligent walling here from Henri. It's there doesn't seem to be any openings on the front side here. There's still a backside to be walled, of course, but it still will delay and maybe keep out any enemy scouts. Asur sees the stables going up, nothing he can do to prevent that. And now 2 scouts out for Asur is staying in this spot just to make sure Henri doesn't pull up a quick gate or something to hold them out. Backside walls going up as well. Henri even taking the long way around here to check for holes in the woodlands. That's some good attention being hunts here. These 3 scouts are out now as Asur is running over to the other side, but there is a spearman here to protect the walling villagers. That shouldn't be an issue either. I think Henri can afford to go right for the attack now, to hit the woodland, maybe to exploit the fact that Asur only has 1 spearman out, and that might... where is it actually? Well, the scouts enter yet again, though. And the spearman somehow doesn't get a hit there. Walling Builder is at risk of going down. He's running downhill now. Yeah, I think he's out. He's done, unfortunately. Nice blocks there by Asur. Spearman gets some hits in though, and Henri doubles up on the walling initiative here to send 1 spearman and 2 wielders to get the walls complete here. Meanwhile, Henri is on the forward. He actually hasn't found Asur, and where are you going? Henri, where are you going? So trying to look if there's a neutral hunt on Serengeti, but there really isn't. So if you see hunt, that should indicate that the enemy is somewhere around here. Real unfortunate for Henri. That's also what deer pushing like that can do to you, that you are sacrificing valuable scouting intel that could have been spent finding the enemy earlier on. 3 scouts to 6 scouts, so twice the scouts for the hunts here. Henri just makes 1 more scout here. He could engage against Asur, who is looking for openings in the woodlands here. And Henri realizes that, okay, he's not over here, he has to be down here where the hunt is, actually. Uh-oh, TC fire. A little bit of dancing around there to try and avoid the spear, but here scouts back off. Pardon, there's still a very exposed woodland here that could be hit, but of course you don't want to run into spear fire either. Maybe just task your scouts to deal with the enemy instead, or double up on the numbers here, as Henri is doing. Not taking too much of a hit on the economy behind this. And we did lose 1 villager to Asur's raids, but aside from that, Henri has a healthy eco setup behind this. 20 on food, 10 on wood. Asur with 19 on food, 13 on wood. Spearman gets focused down at the cost of some scouts' lives here, but now it's Asur's time to lose again. At least 1 villager here, I think. Maybe 2. Yep, that's 2 down. Could be more, could be 3. That's 3, 4. Great value from Henri's scouts investment now with the 6, 7, 8, 7 scouts total here. As Asur drops the market now, the second building needed to get up to the next stage. And meanwhile, Henri is going to gold and likely planning a... Yeah, I don't know yet. It's pretty heavily on wood here. Could be the cow watchers, but could also be the stables follow up here with 17 on food. Somehow Asur, with less investment overall into the scout, so is at a spot likely to be able to reach the cast stage more quickly here. I'm going to gold just now, but has the food needed to click up. That could also be that 150 extra Lithuanian starting food playing in here. Henri, however, wants to go into extended fuel age fights here. He is still full wall at home, so shouldn't need to worry too much about enemy counter aggression, even for the cast age knights as well. And with scouts with +1 defense now, it makes it a little bit easier to contest spearmen and to keep dealing damage in this very open enemy side base. Decent scouts engagements here, but spearmen are helping out as well. 2 spears and 4 scout might just be enough here for Asur to fend off the forward here. Scouts go down without further villager kills, but Henri is still with a 2 villager lead, taking into the cast late here over Asur. They both have wheelbarrow and the eco upgrades, so economically Henri is in a better spot here, although being slightly later to the cast late. Asur with the triple stables again, really likes that extra stable. It's been so long that I forgot how this game went. Yeah, I saw it was submitted a while ago. Looking for openings here. Asur won't find any. As Henri, of course, drops the second stable, going to go into the cast stage with double stable knights play here. Hunts can't easily quick wall behind this. You can't house wall, remember, so you need to do something else. Either repair the palisades or make another layer of palisades behind. We have 3 stables against 2 here though, and Asur with the quicker cast stage will be able to pump out knights from all 3 stables to begin with here to gain the head start in numbers. Asur can't know the progression of Henri towards the cast stage here. That's probably why he dropped 3 stables as well. Suspecting maybe being behind after losing some builders. I always go 3 stables, take map control and then boom. Oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense, it speeds up your production, but you're not consistently producing, right? So it boosts the starting numbers of the knights, maybe to get a little bit of an advantage that way. But aside from Berbers, you usually see players go just 2 stables to begin with, right? And then follow it up with more when the economy or the boom allows. Henri with the repairs here, unfortunately now letting in Asur's mass of knights here. Oh, good push. Quick walling in the town center builders though for the second and third TC here. Is it safe to go 3 TCs against a Lithuanians with 1 TC here and 3 stables though? It should give Asur some huge numbers advantage in terms of military here. And he has better upgrades now. He has +2 defense, 1 attack, so being slightly outnumbered here, Henri should still be taking good fights, but right now is being severely idle here and will not have the economy to keep producing from the stables. $30 villagers to 42 now. Good rates for Asur here. And it's still 1 TC, I believe, against 3, which is dangerous when you're slightly late through the cast stage, like is the case for Henri here. I think Henri felt safe behind the walls here and wanted to extend to 3 TCs ASAP to get an equal lead and eventually be able to outproduce the Lithuanians here. And all things considered, that was sort of a cleanup here. 35 to 44 villagers. With if Henri can keep all 3 TCs producing here, then you will be able to catch up in villagers, but army numbers is still going to be an issue. It's 5 knights to 8. With almost similar upgrades now, and Rio just needs, now Asur just needs +2 defense to match. Don't think there's any easy denying this TC. You could snipe some reinforcements from Asur here though. 10 knights to 5 now. Henri mainly focusing on the re-boom here, or re-establishing of controller. Hi, Wench Obama, can you give a rough time of casting League of Empires? Typically speaking, our matches take 1 hour to 1.5 hours. Let's say that the League of Empires casting will start maybe 5:30 GMT. Because we have our match at 4 GMT. And you never know, it's 2 matches. So Henri with 2 ranges now, going into the cavalry archers transition. That's good if the opponent is full wall, because then you could still sneak in here and obstruct some wood access and, yeah, idle this TC maybe. The knights break in again for Asur though, and again outnumbering as well, with 10 knights to 4 here and a couple of cav archers. I feel like Henry's transition maybe is happening a bit too soon here. We need some real solid masses of cav archers to contest the knights numbers here, and with the second break-in, Henry taps out, calls the GG, good luck next, and thanks to Henry for participating. GG, well played to both. And in my opinion, that's those 3 TCs when you're already behind to the cast stage. Yeah, it feels a bit rough, but it was also very unfortunate of us to break in. With any other civilization, Henry would house wall behind that palisade and keep the aggression out to much more easily get into the 3 TCs producing and re-establishing a villager lead. Alright, Venture Baba, see you later then. Let's have a look at the stats here. Solid Lithuanians economy behind us. And a 55 villager high in the end.